Meet Dot. Dot is a high achiever, or at least he tells himself he is. Dot lives in a world of clutter. His desk is a graveyard of half-finished projects and Amazon cables he hasn't used since 2019. His brain feels like a browser with 84 tabs open, half of them playing music he can't find. He's tired. He's heavy. He's looking for an out. Then the algorithm finds him. It starts with a video. A man sits in a white room. The man has a single plant and a $4,000 MacBook. He looks calm. He looks superior. He tells Dot that the secret to focus isn't discipline, it's subtraction. Own nothing, the man says, and you will own yourself. Dot buys in, hard. He doesn't just declutter, he purges. It starts with the junk drawer, then the closet, then the kitchen. Dot feels a rush. Every bag of stuff he drags to the dumpster feels like a pound of fat melting off his soul. He's winning. He's optimizing. 2 weeks later, Dot is sitting on the floor of a 600-square-foot vacuum. He sold his bed because floor sleeping is ancestral. He sold his TV because screens are digital poison. He owns exactly 42 items. He is a minimalist. But something's wrong. Dot isn't more productive, he's just cold. He isn't more focused, he's just obsessed with the one smudge on his otherwise empty wall. He spends 3 hours a day researching the perfect minimalist spoon because he only allows himself to own one, and it has to be intentional. Dot didn't find freedom. He found a new, more expensive way to be miserable. He fell into the trap. 7 of them, actually. And if you're currently eyeing your bookshelf and wondering if you really need those copies of Meditations, you're about to fall right in next to him. Sit down. Let's talk about why your simple life is actually a complicated lie. Minimalism isn't a philosophy anymore. It's a commodity. It's a lifestyle brand sold to people who have too much and feel guilty about it. It's a tool, and like any tool, if you use it incorrectly, you're going to bleed. Trap 1. The aesthetic fetish. Let's be real. Most of what you call minimalism is just a beige fetish. You aren't trying to live with less, you're trying to live with prettier things. You throw out a perfectly functional plastic dish rack and replace it with a $60 bamboo one. Why? Does the bamboo dry the dishes better? No, it just looks better on your Instagram story. This is the aesthetic illusion. You've traded consumerism for curated consumerism. You are still obsessing over physical objects. You've just narrowed the field. You're not freeing your mind, you're just redecorating your prison. When your minimalism requires you to spend $200 on a minimalist linen shirt to replace 5 $20 cotton ones, you aren't minimizing, you're performing. You are buying into a status symbol. You've replaced the hoarder identity with the curator identity. Both are anchored in things, both are a distraction. Are you enlightened, or did you just spend 3 months' rent on a sofa that looks like a concrete block? Trap 2. The decision fatigue paradox. The minimalist pitch is simple. Fewer choices equals more mental energy. This is a lie. There is a concept in psychology called ego depletion. Your willpower and decision-making capacity are finite. Minimalism is supposed to protect that battery, but when you take it to the extreme, you do the exact opposite. Consider Dot. Dot threw out his printer. He said, "I only use it once a month. It's clutter." Now, once a month, Dot has to spend 20 minutes finding a print shop, 10 minutes driving there, 5 minutes fighting with a self-service kiosk, and 10 minutes driving back. He took a 5-second task and turned it into a 45-minute logistical odyssey. He didn't save decision-making energy, he created micro-frictions. When you strip your life of basic utilities in the name of simplicity, you force your brain to engineer solutions for problems that shouldn't exist. You're doing long division on a napkin because you threw out your calculator to save space. That's not being a high performer, that's being an idiot. If your system makes your daily operations slower, your system is broken. Trap 3. Conspicuous non-consumption. Let's get blunt. Minimalism is a luxury flex. It is incredibly easy to own nothing when you have the capital to replace anything at the moment's notice. When a wealthy minimalist says they only own one suitcase of belongings, what they're actually saying is, I have a high-limit credit card and a data plan. They don't need a pantry because they have Uber Eats. They don't need a toolbox because they have a landlord or a TaskRabbit. They don't need a library because they have a Kindle and a high-speed connection. This is conspicuous non-consumption. It's a way of signaling status by showing how little you need to carry because the world facilitates your existence. For a person working 2 jobs, a pantry isn't clutter, it's a hedge against inflation. A toolkit isn't noise, it's self-reliance. When you preach minimalism to people who don't have a safety net, you aren't being helpful, you're being tone deaf. If your simple life requires a 6-figure income to maintain, it's not a philosophy, it's a gated community. Trap 4. The emotional void. Why are you really cleaning your closet? In clinical psychology, there is a mechanism called avoidance coping. We focus on the things we can control because the things we can't control are terrifying. You can't fix your failing relationship. You can't fix your career stagnation. You can't fix your existential dread, but you can throw away 35 pairs of socks. Minimalism gives you a purge high. The act of discarding creates a temporary dopamine spike. It feels like progress. It feels like healing. But it's a phantom limb. You are treating a deep-seated emotional infection with a surface-level disinfectant. You think that if you achieve 0 inbox and 0 clutter, you will finally be happy. But as the saying goes, no matter where you go, there you are. You can sit in a stark white room with nothing but a meditation cushion and your anxiety will still be sitting right there next to you, only now there's nothing to distract you from it. Minimalism doesn't solve your problems, it just removes the camouflage. Are you ready for what's underneath? Trap 5. Identity foreclosure. This is where the tool becomes a cage. Identity foreclosure happens when you commit to an identity before you've actually done the work to see if it fits. You don't just use minimalism, you become a minimalist. It's in your Twitter bio. It's the only thing you talk about at dinner parties. You start judging your friends for having too many books. You've turned a management strategy into a dogma. When you make less your entire personality, you lose the ability to be nuanced. You stop asking, does this bring value? And you start asking, does this fit the aesthetic? You might pass up a hobby you'd love, like woodworking or oil painting, simply because those hobbies require stuff. You are literally shrinking your potential as a human being to maintain the integrity of a label. You've traded the clutter of objects for the clutter of ideology. How is that freedom? Trap 6. The friction addiction. Modern minimalism has a weird, masochistic streak. It's the slow living trap, the idea that doing things the hard way is inherently more virtuous. You see it in the people who get rid of their microwaves so they can be more intentional with their cooking. Now, heating up a bowl of soup takes 20 minutes on the stove instead of 2 minutes in a box. Are those 18 extra minutes spent in deep spiritual contemplation? No, they're spent staring at a pot waiting for a bubble. You've added friction to your life and called it mindfulness. Efficiency is not the enemy. A washing machine is a miracle of engineering that have saved billions of hours of human labor. To reject it or to make your life intentionally difficult in the name of simplicity is a bizarre form of regression. You aren't becoming a monk, you're just becoming a Luddite with a better font. Minimalism should optimize your time, not steal it. If you are hand-grinding coffee for 30 minutes every morning while your to-do list grows, you're not present. You're just procrastinating. Trap 7 is the guilt spiral. The final trap is the worst, the scarcity mindset. When you define your success by how little you own, every purchase becomes a moral failure. You need a new pair of running shoes because yours are literally falling apart. But you hesitate. You agonize. You spend 6 hours reading reviews for the most minimalist shoe. You are now spending more time thinking about things than the materialists you look down on. This is the guilt spiral. You've created a system that punishes you for interacting with the physical world. You feel heavy if you buy a book. You feel cluttered if someone gives you a gift. You've turned your living space into a museum where you're the only person not allowed to touch the exhibits. This isn't liberation. It's an eating disorder for your house. It's a cycle of purging and guilt that never ends because the target, nothing, is impossible to reach while you're still alive. Back to Dot. Dot is staring at his one spoon. He's hungry, he's tired, and he's just realized that he's spent the last 3 hours of his life researching minimalist-approved trash cans. The irony hits him like a sledgehammer. He wanted to own less so he could think about things less. Instead, he's thinking about his stuff, or his lack of it, more than he ever did when he was a hoarder. Dot realizes he's been worshiping the void. He stands up. He doesn't go to the mall, he doesn't start a shopping spree, but he does go to the hardware store. He buys a desk lamp because he needs to see his work. He buys a second set of bed sheets because doing laundry every single day is a waste of his time. He buys a microwave because his time is worth more than the intentionality of a stovetop. Dot stops being a minimalist and starts being a system designer. He realizes that the goal isn't to own nothing. The goal is to own exactly what you need to execute your mission, and not 1 gram more. He stops looking at the aesthetic. He starts looking at the ROI of his environment. Does the second monitor increase his output? Yes. Keep it. Does the pile of old magazines serve a purpose? No. Toss it. Does the minimalist stool hurt his back after 10 minutes? Yes. Trash it. Buy a chair that actually works. Dot's apartment doesn't look like a magazine spread anymore. It looks like a workshop. It's clean, but it's functional. He doesn't have an identity tied to his belongings. He just has tools. The mental energy he used to spend on subtraction is now spent on creation. He isn't sitting in a white box wondering why he isn't happy. He's out in the world using his tools to build a life. Minimalism is a great place to start, but it's a terrible place to stay. If you use it to clear the decks so you can finally see the work you're supposed to be doing, great. But if you spend your whole life polishing an empty deck, you're just a sailor who's afraid of the ocean. Stop focusing on the less. Start focusing on the why. If your environment is holding you back, prune it. If it's helping you move, fuel it. Don't be a slave to an aesthetic. Be the master of your systems. The world doesn't need more people with empty houses. It needs more people with full lives. If this hit you where it hurts, hit the like button. It helps the channel more than you know. Subscribe if you're tired of the beige lifestyle advice and want the blunt truth about systems that actually work. And do me a favor. Drop a comment. What's the one thing you threw away that you actually ended up needing? Let's talk about the cost of less in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Don't just minimize, optimize.